doing? Welcome back to the Ninja Movies. Today I'm going with an old school movie review. We're going back to the year 1994 with a little known Australian film called The Sum of Us. Directed by Jeff Burton, I believe this to be his only theatrical release. Writers David Stevens, it stars Jack Thompson, a very famous Australian actor, and of course a very young, prominent actor in Hollywood today, young at the time, and this is Russell Crowe. I did a review similar to this many years ago on the film The Dish, another Australian film. The audience seemed to really gravitate towards it, and I just want to get out the way the same way I did in the movie review of The Dish. I love being from Australia. I love our culture in general, and I'm a fairly standard Australian lad. For the longest time, however, I was really hesitant to watch Australian cinema, especially when it came to comedies. I don't know, it was like I sort of was somewhat ashamed, or I just didn't think, even though I liked the culture in the outside world, I just never thought it went really well on film. I always just thought it was a played up sort of stereotype of what Australians are. But as I've become older, I've learned to appreciate, really just sit back and enjoy the film for what it is, because like any country that isn't, Hollywood and America, quirks are what make the film really interesting. It's obviously set in Australia in the 90s, and it's a really fun watch, but we'll get into the cultural side of it later in the review. I just wanted to start off by saying my mum was the reason that we decided to watch this film. I'd never heard of it. Once again, in my most recent update, I had mentioned that I've never watched Gladiator, probably like Russell Crowe's most defining role. He did Gladiator 6 years after this small Australian film. I'll just read straight from IMDb the description so you guys really know what you're getting into with this film. A widowed father has to deal with two complex issues. He is searching for his Miss Right, while his son, who is in his 20s and gay, is searching for his Mr. Right. Now, very standard when it comes to Australian films. The box office return was abysmal, and I actually feel really sorry for the director after watching this film. The budget of this film was $3.4 million, and opening weekend it made $38,000, and total gross worldwide only $766,000, so definitely a flop. I think due to this fact, the director Jeff Burton just never got a chance to really make something of this scale again. The director of 9 things in total. The Sum of Us was his first official theatrical release. He did 2 TV movies prior to that. He did do another TV movie after this film called Aftershocks. But other than that, he was really limited to TV movies. That's all he ever really got, and he hasn't directed anything since 2009. If the man is still kicking. Born 1946, it doesn't have a death on here. But once again, who's really updating these IMDb profiles of Australian directors? This movie was so fantastic, and that's why I just wanted to shed light on the poor director. Obviously he had a film that bombed and he never really got to show his talents again. The film was very well directed, but overall the heart and soul is what makes this movie great. Jack Thompson, once again, is meant to be a very famous Australian actor. As I said at the start of the video, I have not really been present in terms of watching Australian TV and cinema for the longest time, so I'd never seen him. Great performance. Russell Crowe, you can see, just is a standout. Like, everyone else does their thing. Everyone is good in this film, acting-wise. But Russell Crowe, just in his delivery, you could see this man was born to be a star. It's a pretty revolutionary film, especially for, 90s Australia. It's a very hard-hitting topic, covering homosexuality and being okay with your son being gay at a time like this. I'm not going to get into the whole, there's obviously some of these lines are going to be offensive to, the right sort of people, For me, I'm not that way inclined, so it's obviously not going to offend me. I can tell, this movie might not age as well as some other films. I think it's really lighthearted, it's really fun, even with some of the terminologies and things that could potentially offend. It's coming from a father figure that is still accepting of his son. He has fun with his son. That's his blood. He's already lost his wife, and he just wants to know more. It was never like part of his lifestyle growing up. As soon as he found out that Russell Crowe's character was that way inclined, he went and hit up all the gay clubs with him and wanted to see what the lifestyle was about and why his son felt this way. It's a very heartwarming movie, and it's got a lot of laughs in it. And once again, I used to really hate a lot of the stereotypes that Australians did in these films, but it really sort of made me nostalgic in a way now. Because our culture is so different to a lot of the rest of the world. And I mean, just from the boys sharing tall boys, basically a large glass of beer at the dinner table instead of a bottle of water. Just seeing the food on their plates, like a lot of mashed potatoes, a lot of peas, it just reminded me of like my childhood growing up. Obviously, I wasn't on the long neck VBs. Then the movie takes even more of a turn because basically the father figure, once again played by Jack Thompson, he is very talkative and he's the one that can say some of these wrong things. And also he does directly talk to the camera through a lot of the film, sort of fourth wall breaking, which is kind of funny because he's the one that's progressing this story. The one that is telling the audience about his experience with his son, more or less. But the movie does take a dramatic turn when Jack Thompson's character actually has sort of a stroke, a heart attack. I can't remember. It basically put him in the hospital, and this person that's been talking to us throughout a majority of this film and has been chatty and has been understanding is now no longer able to communicate, only by button. Russell Crowe's character has to now take him around in a wheelchair. He's permanently disabled. I was enjoying the movie as like a funny film, and then it took this turn, and I actually felt things. Like I felt like I was going to tear up for this man. I'm like, I just want him back talking to his son. He was so understanding of his son's quirks and what makes him tick. And I mean, I guess in a sort of way, Russell Crowe gets to give back to him and now look after his father. I don't know, man. I thought this was fantastic. Like, honestly, one of the best watches I've had in years. It was the same feeling that I got from The Dish. So that's why I had to come on here and just confess my sins. And I've been sleeping on Australian cinema, and I've just really been comparing a lot of what we do to, you know, something on such a larger scale. Like, America has hundreds of millions of dollars to throw at movies that go nowhere. We had a genuinely good film here from the 90s that did tank. Pretty high budget for an Australian comedy at the time, but don't let the numbers deceive you, because this is a fantastic watch. This is a very ahead of its time film, and the performances are great. You just from the get-go, if you're a fan of Russell Crowe, go watch some of his earlier work. He always had it, man. Just wanted to shed some light on an Australian classic I hadn't personally heard of. I was so grateful my mother showed me this film, because it's easily in probably my top 50 movies of all time right now. If I enjoyed The Dish so much, this is even leagues above. Have you seen The Sum of Us? Let me know your thoughts of it down below. If you have and it's been a while, I'd give it a rewatch. It holds up, the performances are great, it's a funny, heartfelt film. It will make you laugh, it will make you near beyond tears, and I think this was a heavily slept on film. For me, it gets a straight 10 out of 10. It's as easy as that. I had no complaints about this film. With that said, guys, thank you all for watching. Leave this video a like, add it to your favorites, and subscribe. And this is The Ninch Movies, signing out.